Welcome my dear listeners, stay with me to get the spoilers first. And subscribe to the channel. Let's find out what's going to happen on The Young and the Restless. Audra sees trouble as Stephanie falls for Claire, and Holden's off-screen gushing changes everything. Genoa City is about to have one of those soap opera moments when everyone thinks they are being smart until the feelings start to show. According to the latest Young and the Restless spoilers, Audra Charles isn't happy that Holden is spending more time with Claire Newman than he needs to. Her concern isn't just romantic jealousy. Audra is also worried about the secrets they both have from Los Angeles, which means that every extra conversation between Holden and Claire could reveal something bad from the past. At the same time, Holden's mother, Dr. Stephanie Simmons, has come into the picture. It seems that her first impression of Claire is much nicer than Audra would like. That alone makes this story seem like it could explode. Audra has already done something bad that makes Stephanie nervous. There has been tension between Audra and Stephanie since they first met. And this is important because Stephanie can now shape how Holden sees both women. When Audra is in Stephanie's bad graces and Claire is in her good graces, the emotional battlefield changes quickly. All of a sudden, Audra isn't just trying to get Holden's attention, she's also trying to get his mother's approval. The most interesting thing is that Claire seems to have won over Stephanie right away. The spoiler article says that Claire's first meeting with Stephanie in the April 23rd episode made a strong impression on her. And that matters because Stephanie clearly noticed something about her right away. If Stephanie likes Claire, Audra's already weak position will be even weaker. It also adds a very soap opera-like twist to the story. The person Audra is most worried about might be the one who Stephanie thinks is the most trustworthy. That relationship makes Holden the center of the triangle in a very specific way. The spoilers say that he has been leaning on Claire for help with his complicated family situation, and Stephanie shows up while they are talking. That means that what Stephanie sees isn't just a random flirtation or a staged meeting. She sees Holden and Claire in a very emotional moment and she gets to make a first impression based on that. Spoilers say that Holden has been gushing about Claire off-screen as well, since Stephanie already knows he took Claire on a tour of Los Angeles. That detail makes it seem like Claire has been coming up in Holden's talks with his mother in a way that Audra probably didn't want. That's when Audra's worry gets even worse. This isn't just a one-day attraction or a casual connection if Holden has been talking about Claire off-screen. Stephanie already thinks that Claire is important to Holden, and that kind of endorsement off-screen is deadly in a soap triangle. Holden has not only been spending time with Claire, but he has also been thinking about her enough to tell his mother about her. That is a nightmare for Audra. It means that she is not just dealing with a temporary distraction. She is dealing with a woman who is already getting involved in Holden's feelings. The spoiler coverage also explains why Audra is acting so defensive. Not only does she not like the idea of Holden and Claire getting closer, she is also worried about what their past in Los Angeles could show. LA secrets is the kind of phrase that usually means the past has teeth in soap terms. Audra knows that if Holden keeps hanging out with Claire, those secrets might stop being private and turn into public chaos. That's why she is so set on keeping them apart. The risk is that she could not only lose Holden emotionally, but also lose control of the story they all agreed to keep secret. Stephanie's role is very important right now because she isn't just a bystander. CBS brought Vivica A. Fox back as Dr. Stephanie Simmons for this story, and the return was framed as a big deal that would have long-lasting effects in Genoa City. The network announcement said that Fox was coming back to the soap after almost 30 years, which makes Stephanie's presence even more important. This is not just a one-time guest spot. A parent comes in and can change the emotional balance between Holden, Claire, and Audra right away. The spoilers say that Stephanie's first impression of Claire is very good. One preview even says that Stephanie likes the match and tells Holden to spend time with Claire instead of Audra. That is a huge change because it means that Claire has Holden's mother's permission, but Audra is still outside looking in. If Stephanie likes Claire and doesn't like Audra, Audra's already shaky attempt to stay in charge starts to fall apart from the top down. It's one thing to try to get Holden's attention away from Claire. It's another to do it while Holden's mother is quietly supporting the relationship. That also makes for a very funny soap opera twist. Audra might be the first to see the danger, but Claire is the one who looks good in the room. Audra's fear comes from the past and secrets, which makes her more aware but also more suspicious. Claire, on the other hand, seems charming, open, and easy to like right now. Stephanie's reaction makes the difference even bigger because she is probably not seeing Claire as a rival but as a possible match for her son. That kind of motherly approval can change a romance in a soap opera world in a matter of hours. Holden's behavior off-screen is also important because it shows that he has been working on a case against Claire without realizing how obvious that makes him. The source of the spoiler says that Stephanie knows Holden took Claire on a trip to Los Angeles, which means he has talked about her enough for his mother to know the details. That makes it look like Holden is already halfway in love with Claire, even though he hasn't said so in front of Audra. That is the worst sign for Audra. It means that the emotional momentum is already moving away from her and toward someone Stephanie seems to like a lot more. There is also the tension between Audra and Stephanie. When Audra met Stephanie, she made a bad impression, and spoilers say that there has been tension between them ever since. That means Audra isn't starting this fight with a clean slate. She has already lost ground with Holden's mother, which is important because mothers in soap operas often become gatekeepers, even if they don't mean to. If Stephanie doesn't trust Audra and likes Claire more, then Audra has to deal with both her romantic rival and the story of her mother at the same time. The script you gave makes that dynamic even clearer by making it clear that Audra doesn't like the idea of Holden spending more time with Claire than he needs to. In this case, that's not an overreaction. She knows that the more time they spend together, the more likely it is that Holden will become emotionally attached and that their secrets in Los Angeles will come out. Now that Stephanie is involved, every casual conversation can be a sign. Every glance can be used as proof. Every mention off-screen can be a hint that Holden is already closer to Claire than Audra wants to admit. That's why this plot seems like it could go wrong at any time. Audra might get more desperate if Claire keeps winning Stephanie over. If Audra gets really desperate, she might try to take charge of the situation in ways that make her look even more guilty. And if Holden keeps talking about Claire to his mom, even if he doesn't mean to, Stephanie might keep pushing him toward the woman she trusts the most. In a town like Genoa City, that kind of triangle doesn't stay neat for long. In the end, one person feels blindsided and the other realizes too late that the safe choice was already gone. There is also a small but important difference in how Stephanie acts around the two women. Audra seems like a problem while Claire seems like a match. It's not just a problem with your personality. It's a social one. Stephanie has probably seen enough to know that Claire and Holden are a good match, but Audra seems more like a problem. The spoilers don't say that Stephanie is openly pushing Holden into Claire's arms, but they do make it clear that she likes what she sees and doesn't like Audra. That is almost like an invitation to disaster in soap opera terms. The whole thing is so deliciously hard because Audra might be right about the danger even though she is losing the optics war. She knows the secrets of Los Angeles. She sees that Holden getting too close to Claire is a bad idea. But Claire is charming to Stephanie and Holden keeps talking about her. It starts to look like an emotional change is already happening. Audra's gut feelings may be right, but the room is not on her side. That's how soaps often punish characters who find out too much too soon. The real spoiler story here isn't just that Audra is jealous. Audra can see the danger, but Claire is the one who makes the best first impression, Stephanie is the one who has power, and Holden is the one who accidentally shows his attachment. That mix is enough to make Audra freak out and make people wonder if Holden is already getting into something he won't fully admit until it's too late. Claire's side of the board moves very quickly if Stephanie keeps liking Claire and not Audra. That's why this plot works so well. It's not loud yet, but it's full. Audra is keeping secrets safe. Stephanie is getting a feel for the room. Holden talks about Claire too much. Claire is charming, the one person who can really change him. And the history of Los Angeles hangs over them like a storm cloud the whole time. That is usually the point in Genoa City when things start to get serious. Audra was arrested for stealing $500,000. Is she being set up? The latest rumor in the world of the young and the restless spoilers is that Audra Charles might be arrested by the police for the $500,000 theft from a long time ago. The bigger question is whether this is a real arrest or something more planned. People are talking about how Audra could get arrested if Claire Newman tells everyone the truth, and Holden's confession might be what Claire needs to finally get the upper hand. The story also keeps hinting that Holden's own role could get him in trouble, which makes the whole thing feel less like a simple crime reveal and more like a mess that is about to blow up. Audra's life hasn't been perfect since she changed her name and got a new identity, which is why this story hits so hard. The recaps say that Holden told Claire about Audra's criminal past, including the fact that she used to go by Audra Cortez and changed her name to Audra Charles after the theft. That matters because it means the rumor about the police arrest isn't just a rumor. The show has already shown that Audra's past includes a stolen cashier's check, a new name and a plan to get away from the life she left behind in Los Angeles. The first flashback is when everything starts to feel like a ticking bomb. Holden's version of the story in the detailed recap says that he was bartending at the Shadow Room in Los Angeles when Audra was still an artist trying to make a name for herself. A rich man came in with her, apparently trying to win her over or pressure her. When things got bad, Holden stepped in. That's when Audra took the man's wallet and ran away with a cashier's check for $500,000. Then she left town, changed her name and tried to forget about it all. That's why the question, is she being framed, is so interesting. It's so interesting. On the one hand, the sources we have show that a real theft happened, not a fake one. On the other hand, it's clear that this truth is being revealed in a planned way, and planned exposure can feel a lot like a frame-up when the time is right. Claire now has the story, Victor has investigators who can probably figure out who the victim is, and Holden is partly to blame for the mess because he took money to keep quiet. So, even if the original theft was real, the way it gets used as a weapon could still make Audra feel like she has been set up. That difference is important because Claire is not just learning a secret. Someone is giving her a weapon. According to the spoiler coverage, Claire is now in the catbird seat and could use the stolen check to blackmail Audra or force her to leave before the past catches up with her. One article says that Claire could make Audra very unhappy after Holden tells the truth, and another says that Claire might force Audra to leave town before her dangerous past catches up with her. That means Audra is not only open, she is also open to anything Claire decides to do next. And Claire isn't starting from scratch. She already knows enough to make Audra nervous. Holden's confession gives her the perfect chance, and the spoiler material hints that she could even use Victor's private investigators to find the original victim and make the case even stronger. That possibility is especially bad for Audra because it means the truth may not be about whether or not she took the money. It might turn into a contest to see how many people she can get to lie with her and who else can be proven to be involved once Victor starts looking into it. That's also where Holden becomes the most dangerous person in the room. The recaps make it clear that he didn't just know the secret. He used it to his advantage. After the theft, Audra gave him $100,000, which was basically a bribe for him to keep quiet. One recap even says that if Audra goes down, Holden could go down too. That's what makes the framed question so hard to answer. Holden isn't just a witness if the police get involved. He's a part of it. So even if Audra is the one who gets arrested, he might still be in the same spotlight when the truth comes out. That makes every step feel like a trap closing in on Audra. She has already made a new identity for herself, gotten into the business world with a new name, and spent years pretending that the Los Angeles story was safely buried. But Holden telling Claire about it changes everything. Audra loses control over the one thing she cares about most as soon as Claire knows the truth. The version of herself she has built since that night. That's why her response is always so panicked when the secret comes up. She isn't just worried about being embarrassed. She is scared of falling apart. What makes this even more like a soap opera is that the proof doesn't seem to be neatly contained. The story says that Audra took the cashier's check from a wallet, ran away from Los Angeles, changed her name and paid Holden to keep quiet. That's bad enough, but it also leaves room for a much bigger fallout if someone puts the pieces together. Audra's world starts to look less like a private scandal and more like a possible criminal case once Claire learns the old name. Victor's people start looking and Holden's payment trail is brought up in conversation. That kind of stress makes it seem like an arrest by the police is going to happen even before it does. So is she being set up? Based on the sources we have now, the strongest answer is probably no in the literal sense. Looks like the theft really happened, and the name change shows that Audra really did try to get away from it. But there is still a strategic angle that could make the arrest seem like it was planned. Claire is using the secret as leverage. Victor's investigators could make the evidence stronger, and Holden's hush money makes the whole thing more exciting than a simple old crime. In other words, Audra might not be set up for something she didn't do, but she could definitely be put in a situation where the arrest seems planned. That's why the rumor about the arrest is so popular. There are rumors going around in the fandom that Audra was arrested for stealing $500,000. Some people are asking if she is really guilty or if she is part of a sinister plot. Those teasers aren't the best proof by themselves, but they do show the same tension that the show has already built. Audra's past is real, but the timing and the way the story is told make it seem like someone is pulling the trigger at the worst possible time. Claire is the one who has the most immediate advantage. She has the confession, the power, and the spoilers say she's ready to use what she learned to make Audra's life miserable. That makes Claire's situation strange because she is both morally right and emotionally cold. She is not making up the theft, but she is definitely choosing when and how to use it as a weapon. In soap opera terms, that can be just as bad as the crime itself because the person who knows the truth controls what happens next. Holden's part makes things even more interesting because he isn't clean enough to stay away from the blast. The recaps say that after sleeping with Claire he told her the truth, and now Claire has the ultimate weapon against Audra. But the same story also makes it clear that Holden took money to keep quiet, which may have helped Audra avoid the consequences at the time. That means that his confession is both a betrayal and a way of admitting his own guilt. Holden might find out that the woman he tried to protect isn't the only one with something to hide if the police start asking questions. That is why the arrest plotline makes such a good soap spoiler. It's not just about whether Audra stole money a long time ago. It's about what happens when old sins meet new power. Claire knows the truth. Holden has problems. Victor has what he needs to dig. Audra has changed her name, has a history of running, and has a growing number of enemies who now know where the body is, so to speak. It may be true that you were arrested, but the feeling of being framed comes from the way all those forces come together at once. The worst part for Audra is that she has already been forced to play the part of the woman who has something to hide. After that, every move that seems suspicious looks worse than the last. If Claire makes fun of her, if Victor's investigators start looking into things, if Holden gets scared, or if police officers come by with questions, Audra's choices can start to look like proof. This is how a real theft turns into a soap opera crime spiral. The crime may have happened years ago, but the effects are always happening now. The spoiler story here is not just a simple Audra gets arrested headline. The truth is a lot messier. In Los Angeles, Audra really did steal the $500,000 cashier's check. She did change her name and leave. She really did pay Holden to stay quiet. Claire really does have the information that could blow her up. And Holden might really be in danger of falling with her. It all depends on who tells the truth first, who has the evidence, and whether the police see a criminal or a woman being cornered by her own past. That's how things usually go in Genoa City. The secret holder is pushed to the edge and the arrest, real or fake, happens when the wall finally closes in. Audra might not be innocent, but that doesn't mean everyone else around her is either. And that's why viewers are asking the right question. If the cuffs come off, will it be justice or the next step in a much bigger game?